So with all of the crazy activity that we're seeing in the market right now, we know that for sure we are seeing very aggressive buyers and very aggressive buyer activity. And what I mean by that is buyers that are waiving inspections, buyers that are waiving appraisal or agreeing to bring whatever the appraisal gap is to the closing, or agreeing to bring huge amounts of appraisal gap to the closing. I think when buyers do this, they're hoping that, the house is in good condition, there's nothing hidden that they don't know about, and that the house will appraise. Well, what happens when it doesn't? Or what happens when something is uncovered that is hidden and wrong with the property? What can a buyer do, and how can a seller protect themselves from a buyer that suddenly has buyer's remorse? So number one, you can't force somebody to buy a house. So a buyer can walk away from a transaction no matter what the contingencies are on the contract. You can't hold a gun to their head and make them purchase your home. That is where the earnest money deposit comes into play. So as a buyer's agent, you want your earnest money to be as low as possible, because if you default on the contract, that's the money that you're going to lose essentially. If you are a seller, you want that number to be as high as possible. So this is not a scenario that's going on in any of my transactions right now. I will say that. I know I talk a lot about what goes on in my own transactions. This is kind of a spin-off of something that may have happened recently. But, as a seller, you want an earnest money deposit to be as high as possible. I would say that some advice that I've given sellers is, if a buyer is saying, hey, we will bring $50,000 appraisal gap to the closing. So if the house appraises $50,000 low, these buyers are going to bring $50,000 cash to closing to cover that. I say, hey, put your money where your mouth is and make that your escrow deposit, because if and when the appraisal comes in $50,000 low and the buyers are like, oh man, this house isn't worth what we thought it was. We don't want to spend $50,000 too much on a house. Then at least there is some skin in the game, and it is painful to lose. An old broker of mine, still kicking, Nate Dickey, taught me that. He taught me that you want the escrow deposit to be painful to lose. So, and that's if you're in the seller position. Obviously, if you're in a buyer position, it's a little bit of a different story. But that is how you protect yourself. And as a buyer, yeah, if you have buyer's remorse and you want to walk away, just know that you're really risking losing any earnest money that you've put down. I've seen it go both ways. I've seen earnest money go to court. I've seen earnest money go to court for $1,000 and the seller got the earnest money. So just be really aware of your contracts and how you can potentially get out of them and what that's going to cost you. If you've got questions about buying or selling in Southern Maine or New Hampshire, shoot me a message. If you're watching me on Facebook, if you're watching me on YouTube, please give this video a like, and feel free to contact me below at any of my information. Have a great day.